sure. For Europe and Canada to step up on defense investment is not a question of choice. It is a question of necessity. And this has been the case for quite some time. But it is true that the time when we could, some would say conveniently, give up on focusing on security and allow the US to deal with it is over. And this is a much more just and more stable arrangement in which not only US, but also Canada and European allies contribute in a meaningful way to our Euro-Atlantic security. This is why when we did our last polls, 81% of allied citizens, on average, throughout the alliance, consider the transatlantic bond as crucial for our shared security. And we have these expectations to take into account, but we also have some lessons, good and bad, from the more than 75 years of history. And this is why we do believe that, especially in challenging times, we will be able to deliver more security, but also more cooperation in a very, very hostile and unpredictable world. Thank you.
Thank you so much for pointing out the importance of the transatlantic bond and how we can strengthen it in these turbulent times. It is a result of hard work, shared interest, and political will, as you said in your remarks. However, we have to reflect on the last week's remarks from Donald Trump and the tough diplomacy around Greenland, and his rather harsh rhetoric to European allies and Canada of being weak. How much has this harmed the trust among the allies? Could you tell a little bit from the headquarters? And how can we heal it?
Well, I remember reading, your Prime Minister mentioned, the days of university work and how I remember some of my university lessons that spoke about what is the basis and the strength of alliances in history and in the world. Is it a threat or is it trust?
Yeah.
And in my view, it has to be both. Yeah. We do share the common goal of providing security, and we have to also work on this with the appropriate level of trust. And I have to say that trust goes both ways. Yeah. But it is true that for many years, actually decades, as Europeans, we got used to US carrying most of the burden in an unacceptable way, maybe acceptable after the Second World War, but practically this has been the source of frustration for so many years and for so many administrations. We also have to be open about this fact. I remember the first time I joined a ministerial meeting, it was Ministers of Defense when my country, North Macedonia, was still not part of the alliance. But we did support NATO in Afghanistan and in Iraq previously. So we were there around the table discussing Afghanistan, but at every meeting, the Secretary of Defense from the US would start by calling European allies and Canada to invest more in their defense. And some European colleagues saying, yes, we agree, but we cannot do it now. And this has been going on for too long. I remember some people were quoting JFK in '63, talking more or less about the same frustration from the other side of the Atlantic, that countries which are moving forward in terms of economy, in terms of capacities, are not willing to in a way, finance appropriately and invest in their security. So we have approached this problem in The Hague in a very pragmatic way. How can we do better? How can we invest in the trust by saying that European allies in Canada are doing more? And there is a clear sense, and I would say even understanding and consensus among all allies, that we will continue to develop. You called it previously European pillar of NATO, European defense within NATO, and this balance sharing, actually balance shifting, will strengthen the alliance. It will not weaken it. And of course, allowing US to be present in other theaters, but also saying that US nuclear deterrent remains also very important for the alliance, apropos the discussions that we have had previously.
Yeah, I think it was Donald Tusk who said it's not fair that 500 million Europeans are asking 300 million Americans to defend them against 140 million Russians.
You're absolutely
and I think it's time to step up.
Yeah. And I think he added also from an economy the size of Italy.
Yeah.
So both in terms of numbers, in terms of economy, might, innovation, power of industry, you know, it's, we can do better, and we can deter by investing even more in our security.
It's talking about in NATO now, burden shifting instead of burden sharing. What's the difference between the two terms? Does burden shifting somehow indicate that some downsizing or even withdrawal of American troops in Europe? Or, burden shifting has been on the table for many decades.
Well, this is it. When you don't deal with burden shifting, you know, then you have to be even more ambitious afterwards. It is clear that European allies and Canada and